Now, if an individual have violated the restrictions that are required out of him to go and have while in the process of cooking, so there is a penalty. The penalty is that he cannot eat this shon on Shabbos. He needs to wait on Motzei Shabbos the amount of time that takes for this dish to cook, and only then to be able to eat it. This is a summary of the first chapter of today's Ranbam. The second chapter of today's Ranbam deals about a topic that is called hatmana. The word hatmana literally translated hiding, to men, but it is a reference to the same function. A thermos, everybody here knows what a thermos is. A thermos is a bottle that managed to maintain the temperature equal, or at least close to the equal, from the time you took it from the burner. That's the idea of a thermos is. So in the olden days, the way that they were able to maintain the temperature of any type of pot of hot dishes is by covering it with blankets. But there is different types of blankets. There is some material, grass, salt, sand, that is increasing the temperature, and some material that is able only to maintain the same temperature. So the rule, though theoretically, given the fact that the idea of covering and hiding is not really igniting or cooking, is only just covering it. Yet, if the item is increasing the temperature, it is forbidden. And the reason why it is forbidden, because sometimes an individual will see on Shabbat that the pot is boiling, and he will take it out from the blanket and then put it back. And people will think, well, he is putting it into an agent that increasing temperature. So what is the difference between this or igniting on a fire? So in order to avoid any confusion, a rabbinical restriction was introduced to prevent and prohibit any type of covering with blankets that are adding temperature. If it is maintaining the same temperature, it's fine. Now, on Shabbat itself, to take an item that was not covered before and the initiate coverage is also forbidden, for another reason, because sometimes he may find a new material, and this material can contain a spark, and the spark may cause an inflammation and fire. So for that reason, they have prevented. There is one point that I've mentioned before, although it belongs to the first chapter, that today's practice to place the chond right on top of a blech is a transformation of the solution of ketuma. As we have learned in the Talmud, and the Ranbam and the Shulchan Aruch are bringing, that part of the ways that will assure the individual is not going to get involved in the activity of stirring is by having a cover only of thin ashes. Those thin ashes is allowed declaration that no actual possibility of inflammation and increasing of fire is here. So it is like a display of warning for individual that no added fire, no added cooking will take place. The third chapter of today is covering a very, very popular topic, and everybody who ever So our beloved Tanka Mivtzoim, the mitzvah tank outside, you will see that some of the mitzvah campaign is the campaign of Neshek. Neshek, abbreviation of 3 words. In Hebrew, the word Neshek means arm. But the abbreviation of the word Neshek is Nerot Shabbat Kodesh, the candle of the Holy Shabbat. The candle of the Holy Shabbat is a campaign that the Rebbe started in 1974, a short while after the Yom Kippur War, to reintroduce or to renew back again a old tradition that Jewish mothers and daughters have done it from the time of our matriarchs, starting from our Rivka Imeinu, Sarah Imeinu. It says when Isaac brought Rebecca to the tent, he noticed that the lifestyle in the tent is as equal to the same lifestyle as it was throughout the life of Sarah. And Rashi interprets what was so special about their lifestyle of Sarah. One of the things that the candle, the Shabbat candle, was burning from the eve of Shabbat until the next of eve of Shabbat without any interruption, which implies that it was quite a common custom by Jewish mothers, starting from our original matriarchs, to light those Shabbos candles. So the campaign started in 1974, and in Israel, in fact, it was even an initiative before the Rebbe started the campaign. A group of Chabad Hasidim in Afula, they have started it, and the Rebbe liked it and introduced it to the public, to the general public, and encouraged people to take part of it. And one of the primary schools of Israel, when the campaign was introduced there, one of the girls came home and was begging the mother to go and buy for her the Shabbos candle. And the mother was not so excited. She says, "אנחנו לא דתיים, we are not religious. In fact, we are not. We're not. And the girls cried. But the mother, was not really showing any signs. So she decided to go to the Makolet. Makolet is the grocery store. And he comes to her, he says to the store cleric, "Please give me those candles של הדתיים, of the religious people." Well, the cleric knew the only candle that religious people have is Nerot Neshama, is those soul candles. Okay, so he gives her 2 candles. She remembers that Shabbat, Zachor, Shamor, something about 2 candles. So she goes and lights those candles. Her mother wakes up in the middle of the night. Traditional they are, and they see Nerot Neshama. She gets scared. She wakes up everybody. She says, "Ma kara?" And the daughter says, "No, it's for 2. For me and for you." She got so scared. He says, No. Nerot Neshama is a totally different story. But she became more receptive to the idea. She'll rather have a Nerot while she's alive rather than have a Nerot Neshama. And as a result, slowly but surely, one more mitzvah, one more observant of the Shabbat, and many, many people came back to the roots, to their true identities via this campaign of the Nerot Shabbat Kodesh. Now, in the reason, why do we light the Shabbos candle? So there is quite a few reasons. There is the simplistic reason, which were given in the Talmud, Shlom Bayit. Shlom Bayit, to keep the home in a peaceful state. What's so peaceful about a candle? Well, without a candle, when there is dark, it's very likely that a person may stumble the etz v'even in a wood or a stone, and then situation not going to be peaceful at all. So in order to prevent this, he instituted the idea of ner of the shlom bayit. There is another reason which is part of honoring the Shabbat. In the words of the prophets, they said that the Shabbat must be not only observed, but must be honored and must be providing pleasure for the individual. A candle has the character, A, that gives to the Shabbat honor, and B, the pleasure a person gains when he eats in the light is way greater than the pleasure that he gains when he eats in the darkness. As they say, a blind person is never satiated, because part of the satiation is our ability to see what we eat. So again, the idea of Shlom Bayit, Oneg Shabbat, Kavod Shabbat. There is also another side benefit where the Talmud says a person who is careful in Shabbat, he will be blessed with scholarly children, because wisdom is equal to light. When a person is bright, you say a person, bright person, and bright is something that is light. And there is so many more benefits, to such an extent that is so important. Even a person is poor and he needs to beg in order to get a Shabbos candle, so let it be. He should go and beg and go have a Shabbos candle. There is an interesting, famous halacha, although it's not in Ilchoi Shabbos, it is in the rules of Hanukkah. If a person has $1 and he got to make a decision whether to spend this dollar for the Hanukkah candles or for the Shabbos candle, and the answer is he should spend it for the Shabbos candle. And the reason, because the Shabbos candle represents peace. And since the entire Torah was given only to create peace between the Creator and creation, so therefore he should give up the Hanukkah candle, despite the importance of the publicity of the miracle, and stick to the Ner Shabbat, which represent the idea of promoting peace in the world. The conclusion of this chapter deals about a very interesting protocol that used to take place in Jewish neighborhoods and settlement, the protocol of blowing in a shofar right before the Shabbat have entered, 6 sounds of the shofar. The first one to announce and to let people in the field know that Shabbos is coming. The second one is in order to inform people who are in the city and store owners to close their shops and to let everybody enter to the city. And the third one was in order to alert those people who needs to remove and hide and cover their dishes to be prepared for Shabbat and light the Shabbos candle. And after those 3, they made a final 3 as an announcement that the Shabbos is coming. I would like to conclude with a vote of the Rebbe in general. So the primary idea that we have learned before, if we will summarize it in one sentence, that an individual can and he should start a activity that is forbidden on Shabbat, that he will start it on Erev Shabbat, and the rest of the work will be done on Shabbat, and it is considered as a continuation of the Erev Shabbat activity, of the activity that took place on the eve of Shabbat. So Shabbat and Yemot HaChol, they exist also in a much global perspective. We know that our work in the pre-redemption time is like the work of 6th day of the week. So as long as we are starting, we are expressing, we are demonstrating initiative in the times of our work, although we may not be able and not have the tools to finish it throughout the Galut, we said, even if it will continue into the Geulah, into redemption, as long as we starting it, it will still be a sign to our effort and to have us deserve to be a part of the redemption. So again, thank you very much. And
יישר כוח.